Hello everyone, thank you for coming back to Mary's Little House. Today we're going to seemingly work out a contradiction. The title of this crossfire number 7 is The Joy of the Cross. That seems a contradiction. Let me explain. A friend of mine was reading my reflections, my daily reflections that I send out to readers, about 140. Some people get hard copy. I send out every day that I send out after my prayer, 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. prayer, I send out this reflection. And she told me, stop stressing the cross so much. It's depressing. Well, I could understand her statement and her concern. It does seem contradictory to think of Jesus's passion and death. It is depressing. It would be. It just to stop there. But the church it sings about Jesus. It even says in the liturgy, "I adore you, O Christ, and I praise you, because by your holy cross you have brought joy to the world." In another place it sings, it just cries out, "O crux ave," I forgot the Latin, but "O holy cross," that the famous one is, and it is "O crux ave," our only hope. But there's another one just the same, O cross, from where we get our joy, That's the church is singing that. So what are they singing that about the cross? It's awful bad news. The innocence himself, Jesus, who died, was innocent. He didn't do anything wrong. He died as a criminal, in the worst kind of torturous death that the Romans could figure out to do, to punish the criminal, to stop other ones, to deter them from becoming criminal and rebelling against the empire. But what's so joyful about that? Well, that's not joyful. Of course it's not. But let me explain it. Does seem contradictory, and I want to explain that. Why the church sings, "I adore you, O Christ, and I praise you, because by your holy cross you have brought joy to the world." I know in the Stations of the Cross we say, you have saved the world. You have... adore your cross, and I praise you, because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world. That's what we all know. But the church sings in the liturgy, "I adore your cross, and I praise you, because you have brought joy to the world." Holy catfish. I could see it on birthdays. In the birth of Jesus, he was just joyful that he's come. He's our Savior. He's going to save us. The darkness is going to be overcome. He's the light of the world and all. But the cross, that's hard to see. But we'll keep on explaining it here. Here's the thing, and there was an era right after Vatican II when people were taking down their crucifixes. Oh my goodness, the church from time immemorial. Well, the early part of the church, they only had glorious crosses because the crucifixion was too horrible even to think about. Because they saw people crucified in the Roman Empire. They knew what crucifixion was, so they couldn't get there to put Jesus on the cross like that. But later on, during the Middle Ages, the Renaissance and all, they with Saint Francis of Assisi having the crib in Gubbio, and emphasizes Jesus' humanity. He's God, but he's also man. He was born a little baby, and they had the ox and the mules and all those things. They had the first live rendition of nativity scene, and now we have nativities all over. They're all over this house. But so we had the cross. They started to, when they got further away from the Roman Empire and all that, they could stand to see Jesus on the cross, stand to have his corpus, his body on the cross. But after Vatican II, there was a whole thing. It says, well, we should emphasize the resurrection. You're too stuck on the cross. And in a way, maybe there has to be a balance, of course. So they took down, I remember in our parish at home, they took down the beautiful crucifix and put up a risen Savior. Now that's really good. Jesus is risen, and we should be celebrating that. But they were missing the point, and even the spirituality of the time. We went soft. When we took down the crucifix, we went soft. We don't have abstinence from meat. Now, I guess the bishops of England and Wales we're having fish on Friday over there. We only have fish on Friday here during the Fridays in Lent. But we went soft. We did our penances and things sort of unheard of. We were just sort of giving into a culture of pleasure and self-indulgence and everything. But we had the risen Lord up there, and we had hope. But a lot of people missed the how did Jesus get to the resurrection, to the empty tomb? He got it by way of the cross. The real way to joy, to true happiness, and to the truth, to peace, is by way of the cross. The real way to the resurrection is by way of the cross. The way of the cross. Jesus chose that. In The Imitation of Christ, a little spiritual classic, it says it's the royal way of the cross. He is king, and he's the head. So the body has to follow the head. So we all have to take up our crosses. Jesus said during his life, if you wish to follow me, you must deny your very self, take up your cross and follow me. Okay, where does the joy come in when we think of the cross? It comes in, we see Jesus die on the cross and give us an example. Greater love than this no man has than to lay down his life for his brother, for his neighbor. The idea is that Jesus, by his death and resurrection, gave us the power, the grace, the invitation to live like him. Remember, God is love. Jesus came to reveal the Father who is love. And how did he show that his love? By suffering and dying on the cross. And he's calling us to do the same. Greater love than this no man has than to lay down his life for his neighbor. And he gives us a new commandment. One new commandment, it involves it embodies everything. I want you to love as I have loved. And how is he loved? By suffering and dying on the cross. Now here's where the joy comes in. Isn't it not true that when we are in love, we're the most joyful? When we are not worried about our number one self, and we're giving out ourselves to others, it's the most joyful. It's the most heroic. It's most beautiful. It inspires others. Does conspicuous consumption inspire people? Today, it's almost horrible to see it when we know that there's so many people starving in some other parts of the table on the human family. That doesn't inspire people. It almost scandalizes people that they have all this stuff and all these cars and all this stuff, and we wonder if they probably might be giving. We don't know, but to waste all that on just being looking cool and driving up in this big long thing, or it doesn't inspire at all. But what does inspire, what makes us joyful, what makes us happy, is that we're in love, that we're ready to do what as Jesus does and love others, to lay down our lives for their salvation, as we said yesterday, to save souls, and for their good. And that our life is no longer lived for self. That's the old man. Jesus rose. It's a new creation, and the new man lives out of love. The new man images God, who is love, and love is willing and doing the good of the other, and that brings us the greatest joy. That's the secret to happiness. I know our world says the secret to happiness is having a lot of things and consumer things and having a good time and best restaurant and all that. It doesn't fly, Wilbur. That will never fly. It won't. That's not what we're made for. We're made for heroism. We're made for love. We're made to give ourselves for the good of others, in the service of others, as Jesus has called us. And there's where the joy comes in. That's why the crucifix, Jesus on the cross, is so important, because he teaches us true joy, true happiness, true peace. He teaches us how to be in true images of the Father, of God. God bless you now.